Hey sportsmen, welcome back to the Hot Bites Fishing Report with Great Lakes Fisherman's Digest. We got 5 great reports coming to you today from Drummond Island, Alpena, Ludington, Lake St Clair, and then we're going to travel north and out of the state of Michigan, and we're going to start looking at the Lake of the Woods region in Minnesota. Thanks for watching. We have these 5 great reports coming to you from Tangle Tackle today, where we're standing in their back room with their rods and all their bait, and up front where they have everything you need for your ice fishing adventures if you're visiting the Manistee area. Stay tuned. All right, our first report today is Drummond Island. The ice conditions are looking phenomenal. As always, please use caution when traveling, especially if you're on some kind of sled or something trying to get around. But reports are that there's 12 to 16 inches and are excellent in most places, especially in your shallow bays. That's where you're going to find your most consistent ice, just away from current and wind and stuff like that. But Scotts Bay has been producing pike and big ones. There's been a couple reports of over 40-inch northerns caught, and there's good numbers as well, so you're not just trophy hunting when you head up to that way towards Drummond Island. When you're looking to fish the middle grounds, the people who have been rewarded the most are the people who are willing to move and travel and not just sit in one spot all day. You got to be able to work with your conditions and around your conditions. So on a nice day, really just set up a base and start popping holes and search those areas in that middle ground. And again, use something that you can get down quick enough, like a jigging wrap or a jigging spoon like a dew jigger, just so you're getting to bottom, you're finding fish, and you can target those suspended fish. The people who have been moving around have been rewarded with whitefish, big perch, and herring. A good tip when you're trying to fish those perch, if you're in a group of small perch and it seems like you're doing more sorting than actually putting fish in a bucket, move. Those bigger perch want to stay in groups of their same size, so continue to move and search. If you're looking for any more information, or especially if you're looking for a guide up there, call John from Customized Charters. Great guy, he's always on the fish, and he'll put you on the fish, even on these cold days like this cold week and a half, 2 weeks we've had. That's your report from the Drummond Island area. Again, be willing to move and search. If you're trying to protect yourself from kind of wind or trying not to travel too far, start in like Scotts Bay area and just work those areas in weed lines when you're searching for pike and even perch in those shallow waters.
White River Tackle's Perch Pounder is the finest 2-hook perch rig in the industry. Its unique fish skin technology, coupled with a soft glow bead, make the Perch Pounder irresistible to fish. Available in a variety of fish-catching colors, simply tip each hook with your favorite live bait and let the fun begin. So whether it's perch, crappie, or bluegill, ask for White River's Perch Pounder by name.
All right, so our second stop of the day is in the northeast corner of Michigan, and we're starting to look at Alpena in Hubbard Lake. A lot of good reports of fish and ice when you're looking at Hubbard. There's about 8 to 9 inches of ice almost everywhere, but you know, please use caution when you travel. If there's 3 things we can teach you in this short little report from Hubbard Lake, one of them is going to be use caution when you're traveling the lake, unless you know exactly where you're going, but still, tell someone where you're at and make sure you follow either other snowmobile tracks, ATV tracks, stuff like that, especially because the snow can cover up a lot of the soft spots that we've got. But fishing-wise, a lot of fish are being marked on bottom in 30 to 40 foot of water, but are being very stubborn. So the best way to try to offset those stubborn fish are going to be, again, your searching baits, your jigging wraps, and you have to use tip-ups. I personally like to move around, and I know it's hard during this cold snap that we've had in Michigan lately, but you got to be willing to do it and just set up a base camp with your shanty just so you can get all the elements and warm up, especially if you find fish. But if anyone's been to Hubbard, and for the people that are new to Hubbard, be willing to use your tip-ups. Set a wide spread of tip-ups using lively blues. If you do that, you'll be rewarded with walleye and big perch. Those big perch need something kicking down there to get them interested, and the same with the walleye. So again, the theme is on these cold days, I know we don't want to get out and move and check tip-ups, but tip-ups are going to be probably your best weapon when you're searching on Hubbard Lake in Alpena. But just want to say again, when you're traveling up there, either stay on near tracks, or if you're going to go to a new area, have someone with you or tell someone where you're going, and just be extra cautious. But there's your report from Hubbard Lake in Alpena, Michigan, and have fun out there. And I promise, if you're willing to do the work, you'll find your fish.
Hey, Jeff Miller here with Traxstech today, just going over and explaining what we've done on our MT60 and MT72. That's our 5 and 6 foot long tracks. We used to get a lot of requests for custom tracks where we actually machine out the inside of the lip of our track so that guys didn't have to have a long track on their boat and feed everything in from each end. So we just started making it standard here about a year and a half ago on there now, so it's super easy. And the beautiful thing is I can load my trees, my downriggers, I can keep my end caps on my tracks, I can drop all my gear right inside the track, slide it in wherever I want to go. And the beauty of it is we're really not losing any room in the track, because with the strength of the track is all gained out of the lips right here, I can slide a rod holder, still be halfway in, halfway out of that slot right there, and that thing is not coming out of there. So you still really didn't lose anything, but you got all the benefits and features by putting our longer 5 and 6 foot track on the boat, of the security standing inside the boat and being able to slide all my gear forward or backward wherever I want to go, take my gear off the boat, put it away nice and easy, and I don't have to worry about anything. So that's just a benefit feature in our 5 and 6 foot tracks that are now standard on everything. When you order a track, that is what you're going to get.
Our third stop on our Hot Bites fishing report this week is Lake St Clair, where there's reports of big perch moving towards the central part of Lake St Clair. And your best bite window is going to be 11 to 12:30, ending that morning hour, moving in toward lunch, or an hour right before dark, as those fish start to put on that feed bag and feed overnight. Catches have been a lot of perch in that 10 to 12 inch range. If you're planning to attack these big perch and these big schools of perch, some of your baits that you're going to want to be using are smaller jigging wraps, tipped with a red Jensen egg. Fire Tiger has been good, chartreuse has been good, and same with your just plain old white minnow imitation. Another way people have been trying to target these perch, and especially the bigger schools, are the slab grabbers with red or chartreuse beads. They've been very effective, and people have been tipping those with spikes, waxworms, wigglers, or even a minnow from now on, just to change things up and maybe target those bigger aggressive fish. Fishing has been in 6 to 8 foot of water. If you're on the small fish, move. Those bigger perch want to target and be with fish the same size. You can sort fish all day, but if you want just your keeper size fish, you know, that 10 to 12 inches, you got to find the schools that are 10 to 12 inches more commonly than not. The small fish are feeding along with those big fish, but those big fish are just going to be too aggressive at most points, especially when you're using those jigging wraps. The canals and marinas are holding perch as well still around the Harrison Township area. The same techniques with jigging wraps and your slab grabbers, but also a smaller dew jigger or a smaller jigging spoon has been working great, tipped with the same things, a wiggler, a perch eye, a minnow head, stuff like that. That's going to point out those bigger and more aggressive fish. When you're in those canals, please use safety, because there has been reports of 5 inches of ice, but also 20 yards away there's an inch of ice. So use caution, especially when you're targeting those bigger fish, those bigger perch. You want to get away from those crowds. Being around those crowds isn't going to do you anything besides put pressure on those fish that there's already too much of. So be willing to go an extra 20 yards, even though you might see somebody in one spot catching fish, and then more people are going to gravitate to them. So get on the outside of those big crowds and work those fish and be willing to move around. I know with this cold snap, your comfort is going to be in an insulated shanty or even a heated shanty, but be willing to punch holes and move around when you're trying to target these big fish on Lake St. Clair.
Midwest Steel Carports is Michigan's premier steel building manufacturer. We manufacture and install custom steel buildings throughout Michigan. Our engineer-certified steel buildings are fully tailored to fit your every need, and our up to 40-year warranty protects your investment. From residential storage sheds to commercial warehouses, let our team work with you to find your ideal building. For more information and pricing, visit MidwestSteelCarports.com.
All right, sportsmen, your fourth report today is coming just a little bit south of where we're standing here in Manistee, Michigan. It's coming from Ludington, where the Pure Marquette Lake and Hamlin Lake have safe ice and have had good catch reports. So we're going to start with Pure Marquette Lake. So you're going to start your way out to about 30 to 40 foot of water, and that's where these perch have been producing. There has been quite a bit of sorting, so be willing to move or change up techniques that you're going to be able to target those bigger fish. On Pure Marquette Lake, your baits of choice are going to be jigging spoons, so a dew jigger or anything that's heavy enough to get you down in that 30 to 40 foot range, because those fish are suspended a little bit, but most of them are hunkered on bottom, especially with the pressure system we've had. Another technique you can use would be just a typical tungsten jig, but that deep water, it is pretty tough. So if you have to use a split shot or just a bigger size, that's perfectly fine as well. And then your typical perch rig or crappie rig that you would see in open water can also be very effective this time of year as well. Just making sure that you are in contact with the bottom if you don't have any kind of technology or any kind of flasher or anything like that. On all those rigs, your best bite is going to come on wigglers, wax worms, spikes this time of year. As you're trying to finesse these fish in the past week or so with these low temps, and up here in northern Michigan around the Ludington area, a lot of snow is starting to get dumped on us. So make sure that you're using those techniques to, one, find bottom and make sure you're on those fish on bottom. But wigglers have been good. People have been trying minnows as well, but not as much luck when you're trying to get these fish that are being finicky. So our second report out of Ludington area is going to be Hamlin Lake. Hamlin Lake has been very good also in that deeper water, that 30 to 35 foot range. Most fish are suspended because you're targeting these crappie. These crappie can be, again, anywhere from bottom to, I've caught them 5 feet underneath the ice in 30 to 35 foot. So this is kind of a tougher one if you don't have a flasher or a fish finder or anything like that. How we're catching them up here, those crappie are coming on mainly tungsten jigs tipped with a spike or a plastic. When you're choosing your plastic, I like something with a little more motion, so a longer arm or a longer tail, not something so stiff. And a plastic and then tipping with a spike still works great, especially like I mentioned. It's getting pretty cold up here, and with this with this pressure system, it can be very tough to get those fish to go. But if you're new to the area, please feel free to call Captain Chuck's. They have everything you need and more at their new store, Captain Chuck's 2. They have lively bait, all the tackle you need, and they do have the best information for the area. If you're looking at Pure Marquette Lake, getting on those perch, or if you're looking to adventure Hamlin. And maybe crappie might not be your go-to fish that you want when you're coming to Hamlin. Maybe you're looking for those bluegill. Captain Chuck's will have the information to put you on those fish any time of day.
You know, a fishing boat isn't a fishing boat without rod holders, tool storage, and other accessories. And the Kraft Kodiak series has the combing pads you need to mount anything you're going to use. I'm Captain Lance Valentine. Let me show you real quick why I love my Kraft Kodiak. Wide combing pads that have 3/4 inch PTP reinforcement underneath, so you can drill right in without having to through drill and use fender washers. Remember, we're going to need all these accessories when we're fishing, and the Kraft Kodiak makes it very easy to mount them, have them safe and secure so you can get out and catch more fish.
Hi everybody, Greg Jones for Lake of the Woods Tourism. We got the Lake of the Woods fishing report coming here for you. Up here in the North Country, where we're probably sitting on about 22 to 24 inches of ice, a little bit behind. Fishing's been pretty good. A lot of weather systems coming through. You're seeing the weather definitely affect the fish. That's nothing unusual. Sunny days are working. Kind of seems like the cloudy days are a little better. One of the things we're definitely seeing is cleaner water this year up here. So you got basically two styles of bites going on. Some of the fish are coming off the bottom still. You want to set there at 6-8 inches off the bottom, but I tell you what, a lot of the better fish and the bigger fish are using the water column. I personally caught fish up to like 10 feet below the bottom of the ice. There was a week, about a week ago, where everything was 10 foot off the bottom to 10 foot below the ice. And what you'll see there is those are the bigger fish and the quality fish quite often. A lot of times, you're not seeing that fish come up from the bottom. You're fishing, say, 3, 4, 5, 6 foot up. All of a sudden there's a mark there. He's coming in from the side. And another thing that's going to happen when you see these high fish, you want to get up to them, but when you crank up to them, you don't want to go blowing right by them. You got to get your bait about 4 foot below them and then start sneaking past them and watch what that fish does, But if you zoom that lure by them, it seems to freak them out. So when you get close to the fish, slow down and then get above them, make a little noise. The other deal that seems to be happening is you got to get the cadence right. So when you get that fish moving, it's like you got to keep moving, and you don't want to get too far out in front of them, but you want to keep them coming. I personally had fish down the hole that I've worked for 7-8 minutes before I finally got them to bite. So, each fish is different, but the general situation right now is there's some good fish up in the water column. What they've actually been feeding on is mayfly larvae. They hatched in the lake. We've seen them on the camera. Looks like kind of a crawdad scorpion type of thing. Actually, I've had them in the buckets live, and the fish have been up feeding on them. So the bite's definitely been on. There's been some great days out there. Lake of the Woods is always really good fishing. The other big thing that's happening up here is we've got the Northwest Angle Guest Ice Road going on now. And if you look at Minnesota, if you look at the very top of the state, there's an area up there called the Northwest Angle and the Islands. It's the most northern contiguous point in the United States. And usually you got to cross through Canada to get there. Of course, with the situation being what it is, you can't go through Canada right now. They fought that all summer long too, transporting people across the lake. So what they've done up there, there's about 12 resorts, 8 of them run ice, is they threw together and they built what's called the Northwest Angle Guest Ice Road. And what it is basically a 30-35 mile road that's going across the lake so the resorts can get their guests in. We're bypassing Canada basically, and it's a great adventure. The road's plowed wide, real smooth. It's about an hour 45, 2-hour trek across there, so you time it out right to get up in there during the daylight hours. They've got trucks and people out on the road all the time, so during the daylight time frame, so it's a very safe passage. It's actually a really big adventure, and I was up there last week catching fish. Up in the angle, a lot of times you are fishing more of the bottom fish and the shallow fish. We did very well up there, and they'll have a lot of great fish. And that Northwest Angle Guest Ice Road is a really great story because what the resorts did is basically all threw together. A lot of times everybody's operating kind of independently, and they all had to get on the same team to make this happen. It's taken a lot of effort, a lot of man time, and they've got their own Facebook page. If you look up Northwest Angle Guest Ice Road, you can find out all the information that you need to have to get up there. A lot of people have been going up to support those resorts, and the cabins are definitely nice up on the angle. You can't believe how relaxing it is. And of course, anytime you want to find out information about Lake of the Woods, all you got to do is look up lakeofthewoodsmn.com. They got a great website. There's about 50 full-service resorts up here, and they take people fishing every day. Why don't you come on up? And remember, March is coming. Big pike, and we walleye fish up here on the ice as long up to April 14th. That river right behind us here is going to be going, so there's always some fish to catch at Lake of the Woods. Come on up and join us.
There you have it, folks. Again, I'm Alex Bialik with the Hot Bites Fishing Report. I know it's weird not having John here this week, but let me tell you, there's a lot of great information on this, and we're really looking at having this cold streak end here in northern Michigan especially, but all over the state. We are getting a lot of snow, and these pressure systems can really put you down on wanting to get out and catch fish. But I encourage you to get out, embrace the cold, embrace the snow, and go find that bite that you've been looking for all winter.